Hey y'all, Tawana Michelle here, mental health therapist and narcissistic abuse recovery coach. And today I want to talk to you guys about what you need to do after you've done all of your research and learned everything you could possibly learn. Well, not everything. There's always a lot more to learn about these narcissists and narcissistic abuse and what the next steps should be. The reason I want to talk about this is that I think there is so much wonderful educational information out there. Lots of good YouTube channels, Instagram pages, TikToks, just books. So much information that you can get your hands on that helps you really gain that insight that you need to really understand who the narcissist is, what they do, and what happened to you. Because that is really the first step in healing. So when you are trying to regain your sense of self and your life and your sense of power back, after you have been involved with these people, you really do want to understand what just happened, what was going on. And so you definitely need to seek out all of that information that is going to help you understand that you're not crazy, you're traumatized, and it was deliberately done to control and manipulate you by the person who you thought loved you, who was supposed to love you, but ended up betraying you and hurting you deeply. We have to understand what is narcissistic abuse, because that's what you experience. Narcissistic abuse has a very consistent pattern of behaviors. The more knowledge you have, the more likely you're going to be willing to do something with it and take back control of your life. So once I've done that, I've learned everything I need to know about the narcissist. What do I do next? There has to be a next step. And let me tell you why. I think one of the problems that we tend to have is that it's so much easier to just completely focus on the narcissist, obsess about the narcissist and what they do. And that feels good. We're learning information that we need to know. We're gaining knowledge, insight, and awareness, and we need to have that. But at the same time, that keeps us stuck in a comfortable place. And when we're comfortable, we don't grow. It is comfortable to be able to look at what's going on and learn about it, and to be able to say, okay, this is what happened to me. I'm not going to say, I guess comfort isn't the word, because it's a painful process, but at the same time, it's less painful than doing the emotional healing work that you need to do on yourself, which is the next step in the narcissistic abuse recovery process. So once you have the awareness and, you acknowledge that, okay, I've been with a narcissist, this is what they've done to me, this is what I know about them. Now I have to shift the focus to me. And that's where the discomfort really comes in. So after I'm done gathering all of the information, because that kind of helps you stay emotionally detached to a certain extent. You are going to feel some things as you're learning that, but still your focus is external. Your focus is on this person and what they did to you. When we go internal and allow ourselves to access those emotions, that's typically where things get a little bit more difficult and a little bit more uncomfortable. So open yourself up to that and be prepared for that. Now, in order to recover from narcissistic abuse and in order to heal, you're going to have to be able to feel those feelings and move through them. You want to, of course, be emotionally regulated. So you want to either learn on your own or have someone help you develop some good, healthy, adaptive coping strategies to deal with those complex feelings that are going to come to the surface. And then once you do that, you really have to be able to feel it, okay? Which is it's basically grief work. You are going to have to grieve. First of all, you're grieving the loss of the relationship. Even when it's toxic, it's still a loss. You are having to face that, and you are having to grieve that loss. You're grieving for the loss of yourself. There is a before and after that exists as a result of narcissistic abuse. Who you were before is not who you are now, and is not who you're ever going to be. You grieve for yourself. You grieve for what was taken from you. Your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth. And now you're doing all of that work on yourself, and you're accessing those emotions, and you're doing some introspection, and you're working through those feelings related to the narcissist. And then there's another layer. Then we have to look at, how did I get here? And this is the part that some people don't really like because they feel like it's about blame, and it's not. Let me say this first. You are 100% not to blame for being in a relationship with a narcissist. They are skilled manipulators. They knew how to pick you out, and they took full advantage of you. They're 100% at fault. But most of the time, although not always, for those of you who are going to say, but what about this? And there are some exceptions. There are always exceptions. But most of the time, those of us who end up in relationships with narcissists have had patterns of relationships with narcissists, have had parents or a parent that was a narcissist, or have had relationships with people that may not have been narcissists, but maybe they had some other personality disorder. Maybe they had some untreated mental illness. Maybe they were just cruel, unpleasant people, and they were abusive or neglectful in some way. Maybe we were abandoned, emotionally or actually physically abandoned. Usually we have some type of emotional vulnerability already, and we have a void that we try to fill. Usually we already have some sense of low self-worth. We lack self-confidence. We're trying to find some way to feel good about ourselves, to get that validation. And often we do that through relationships or external means. If it's not a relationship, sometimes it's through a career. Sometimes it's through material things. Sometimes it's through an addiction. But we're trying to fill a void that, of course, can't be filled externally, but that's a whole different video. But when we try to fill that void through relationships, and we're trying to gain validation and self-worth through relationships, typically we never got that as children in our primary relationships with that primary caregiver. The narcissist can pick up on that, and that makes you an easy target for them. And if that is the case, then that means after you've learned about the narcissist and narcissistic abuse, after you've done your grief work and felt the feelings related to that particular relationship, now we're going to the next layer of the onion, where you're trying to understand how I got here, and you're having to go back to those old childhood wounds that are not healed, that are unresolved. You have to go back to the family of origin. You have to go back to the origin. If it's not the family, often it is, but maybe there was a previous early relationship where you were completely emotionally damaged. And so you have to go back there. So there are multiple layers when it comes to recovering from narcissistic abuse, and it's steps, it's a process. And so if you only focus on what you can learn about the narcissist, you've only taken the first step. And that, continue to do that. That's great. Also, not only do you need to do that, you also have to pace yourself, because it's a lot of work. It's very painful. And if you're not ready, it can actually do more harm than good. So I would suggest, if you are trying to heal from a relationship with a narcissist, get some help so that you can get some good strategies to help you regulate your emotions, so that you can then do the more difficult work. And I would not recommend doing that alone. Do that with a professional. Do that with a therapist. Do that with, a life coach who understands and works with trauma. If you can't do that, find some, online groups that are led by professionals. Find some pages and groups that are free, that you can afford, where you can join a community and get some extra support and professional guidance in healing your trauma and recovering from this narcissistic abuse. But it's super important to not just stay focused on the narcissist. Yes, that is the beginning stage. But if you don't do the rest of the work, guess what? There's a high probability you're going to find yourself in another relationship like this. That's not what we want. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know where you might be in this narcissistic recovery abuse process. Are you still learning about the narcissist? Have you moved to kind of grieving the loss of that narcissist and the loss of yourself as it pertains to the narcissist? Or have you moved to that deeper level where you are going back to the original wounds and you are working on that? And it's fluid. It's not a linear process. you're going to kind of be going back and forth. But the whole point of this is to help you understand that you have to do more than just learn about the narcissist, focus on the narcissist. That's only the first step. So give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It really does help my channel. Share this out with others who you think may benefit. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting on? I'd love to have you be a part of this community. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, take care. Bye.